Welcome to another tech video. So today we're going to be having a look at a product from Fideco. So this is the M.2 docking station. It apparently supports NVMe and SATA, dual protocol, M-Key and B+M key. So let's have a look at it. All right, so before we get into having a look at the product itself, we'll talk about what we've got to use for testing. So in here we've got an M.2 NVMe drive. So this one is 250 gig, so we're going to be using that to test with. And then we've got a smaller, obviously much smaller M.2 drive. This one is NVMe, and this is obviously, you can see the 220 format. So those two are NVMe drives, and then here we've got a B+M connection. So this is the one with the two slots here, and this is a SATA drive rather than an NVMe drive. So we're going to have a look at those and see if they're all recognized. Okay, so let's have a look at the unit itself. The box feels quite weighty, standard packaging, lots of the languages on the back. It just tells you about the product. 2230, 2242, 2260 and 2280 works with M-Key and B+M card format. And then also on the front here, NVMe and SATA dual protocol, so it should recognize both of the drives. So let's get into the box and have a look at it. Now I can see this is going to be quite useful for utilizing old drives. Okay, and inside we've got the unit itself. Open the flap here. It says here, warning, while the SSD dock efficiently dissipates heat, we strongly advise against touching the SSD while it is operational. Okay, in other words, it might get quite warm depending on what SSD drive you're fitting. Okay, so here we've got a heatsink with a thermal pad and two little O-rings of some description. And then, looks like it's a shame. Looks like I've got to get this right out. Let's push it out. Okay, so that comes out of the unit. Inside the card, I'm assuming they want you to open it up because no, under here is the instruction pamphlet. Okay. All right, and it shows you how to hold the heatsink on top of the chip. It's basically saying use the rubber rings to put it round at each end and hold it on, as you can see in item 2 there. And in item 3, pop it straight in the drive. Okay, so let's get in and have a look at the block. Okay, this feels quite nice, quite weighty. Okay, so we've got an aluminium shell, and then we've got our slot here that the NVMe drive or the SATA drive will connect into. The M.2 drive will just slot in there. On the side we've got a USB Type-C connector, and on the bottom here we've got a nice non-slip rubberized pad. In the bag we've got the cable. So okay, so this is good. This is a Type-C to Type-C with a Type-A adapter block for it, so it will fit both slots in your device. Throughput on this, it says it's a 3.2 Gen 2 by 1, so this would suggest that it's 10 gigabit transfer speeds. I don't have a port fast enough in my device, I don't think, but basically connecting it is dead simple. You plug one end into this side, and the other end, if you've got a Type-C port on your machine, then you use the Type-C. If you've got a Type-A port, then that goes on the top, and then that just plugs into the Type-A port. Okay, so out of the box, the cable, that looks like a 1 meter cable. It would have been great if they'd made it 1.5 meters. However, that should be sufficient to get into a port on your device. Okay, so I'm going to take the end and just plug that into the desktop machine that I'm using. Okay, so this USB drive here is the microphone storage. This one here is our C drive, so we're not going to get anything until we plug something in. So let's now take our 3 drives. First one we're going to try is we're going to connect this brand new NVMe M.2 PCIe 2880 drive into the unit here. Now you can see once it's plugged in, we've got light on there, so it's got sufficient power. So let's plug that in, and then we're going to go back. Nothing yet. I just had a quick look at the instructions. So if it's a brand new one, we might need to initialize it. So let's go in and have a look at our disk management. See if we can see it in here. Okay, there we go. So you must initialize a disk before Logical Disk Manager can access it. Disk 2. So let's just cancel that for a minute. Scroll down. Okay, so this is our drive here. So let's initialize it. GPT is what we want. Yeah. Incorrect function. Initialize disk. Incorrect function. Okay, well let's remove that. So I've unplugged the drive. Let's now try a B+M SATA drive. So we're just going to slot that in there. Okay, another one not initialized. I presume this is a completely blank drive, so let's see if we can initialize it. Incorrect function. Okay, it's an unusual one. So I don't believe it's the drive itself. Well, let's just unplug it from the system. So we've unplugged it from the USB port. Let's now plug it back in. See what happens. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it's not hot swappable. So you want to connect your drive. So you want to plug in your drive and then plug in the cable into the PC, and then it will that seems to recognize it. So it's not hot swappable, which is fine, I guess. So let's go back here now and see what we've got. So we can scroll down. Okay, so it's showing external drive E. So let's have a look. Okay, so there is nothing on it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally pull the drive out and try another system. So that's been recognized. That's got the full storage amount on there. So let's take that out. Now let's put this NVMe 250 gig drive in there. So this is the one that's saying it wasn't initialized. Okay, let's see if it's going to let me initialize it. Okay, that's sounding better. Yes, so that was completely blank. So basically what we're doing now is we've initialized the drive so we can actually see the storage on it. Okay, so there we've got the drive. It's unallocated. So if we want to access it, we need to create a simple volume. Let's see if this works. Maximum size, drive E. Find NTFS, new volume we'll call it. Let's see if that works. And there we go. So now we needed to initialize that one because it was a completely brand new drive, but we've got our 256 gig of storage here. Let's have a look how much data we've got here. Let's just copy that lot. Let's see how. Okay, 2.3 gig. Let's copy that. Go back to our new volume and let's paste that in to see how long that takes. Oh wow. Okay, that was pretty rapid. About 350 meg a second. So that's Impressive. Okay, so now we've done that, let's go into our drive. You can see the videos that I just copied across on there. E drive, and just delete them from there. Delete them from the recycle bin. Okay, so that all works. So let's now unplug the drive. Remove that. Okay, so they said don't touch it, but actually this is nice and cool. It's not warmed up because we've only done a tiny bit of data transfer. Let's take our smaller NVMe drive and plug that in like that, and then plug that into the system via USB. Open our drive up. Okay, so on this drive we've got a Windows installation. Let's have a look, see if there are any users. So there is a user on there, so we could go into there. Obviously you need to take over the folder in terms of permissions. And that'll then scroll across, eventually giving you access. So that's fairly straightforward. So we know that that drive works as well. So we can remove that card now. We can unplug the device, or eject the device first, and then that's it. So the three drives that we've tried are the NVMe drive, and a SATA drive. M.2, this is the M-Key connector, which is the single slot M-Key connector, and then you've got the B and M connector, which is the dual slot one here. All of those work, so I would suggest that's quite a useful little tool if you're an IT person that needs to chop and change data and drives fairly frequently. This is ideal to have sat on your desk. So let's have a look on the packaging. So we can see down here up to 10 gigabit a second super speed, USB 3.2 Gen 2. And it says here easy swap multiple SSDs. Well, yes, it is easy to swap them, but I think in the instructions they should be saying disconnect or eject the device before changing the drive. So change the drive, plug it in, eject it, unplug it, remove the drive, put your next drive in, plug it in, and so on. That would be the best way for the system to recognize it every single time. And then finally, I do want to actually have a look at this. So this is the heatsink for larger drives, and it comes with a piece of padding on it. So let's have a look at this. This is another single sheet of aluminium, and then you would peel off the top and bottom of your thermal pad. That will stick onto there, and then you would then attach that to your drive like that. So you want to make sure that you're covering the controller, which is probably the most important bit, and then you can take your O-rings, all these little holders that should, in theory, just, oh, there we go, that's good. One there, and then the other one holding a rear. And the job of these is just literally to hold that heatsink in place on the device, so that you can see there, the thermal pad, plenty of spread all along the drive, and then you would just plug that into your reader like that. That's if you've got a Gen 5 or Gen 4 NVMe drive, then you're going to be doing a lot of data transfer or a lot of heavy usage. Your SSD will get slightly warm, so always best if it's going to be a fairly permanent solution, then make sure you've got heatsink on to spread some of that heat off. So that's it in terms of a quick review. What do we think about the product? It's weighty, it feels good quality, does exactly what it says on the tin. So if you found that video useful, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.